Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Jakara. And today I'm going to be giving you a tour of my garden. And then we're going to be harvesting some of the vegetables that I have grown over the last few months. And so if you want to see how that turns out, then stay tuned.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly, look in my eyes.
Okay, so the first plant that I have here is these are tomato plants. So obviously cherry tomatoes that are doing really good. These are the strongest growing tomatoes I have here. I do have some aromas, which are here. It's hard to see. See, there's a Roma tomato there. There's a couple here. These cherry tomatoes back here tend to be more like grape-like, which, hey, I'll take. I don't mind. I did have two big tomatoes, two like beefsteak tomatoes, but they didn't grow very big. There's a couple right here trying to grow. As you can see, they don't get much bigger than like this one here. So that's kind of disappointing, but lots and lots of cherry tomatoes and Roma tomatoes that I can use, and the Roma tomatoes are delicious. So are the beefsteak ones that I have harvested, but the cherry ones are okay. Like, they're better than the store-bought ones, but I don't need this many cherry tomatoes. I mean, like, there's lots of them. I've made tomato basil soup a couple times already, and obviously that's great for soup season. But when these plants die for the winter, I am going to clear out these beds, because a lot of these were spontaneous, like self-seeded cherry tomato plants, which, like I said, I don't need that many cherry tomatoes. Like, this is more than enough. I have a plethora, and it's great to use them, for soup and stuff like that, and a little bit for salad, but I don't eat salad like that every day. So anyway, I will probably grow cherry tomatoes in a pot next year, just so I'm not overrun with all of these tomato plants. But hey, I will call it a success for today, for this season, just because it did yield quite a bit of tomatoes, cherry tomatoes specifically, but also Roma and a few beefsteak too. So this area here is my impromptu sweet potato patch. Now, I saw online that sweet potatoes don't grow the same way that like regular potatoes. Like, you cannot just throw them in the ground and then expect potatoes to be produced within a certain amount of months. But I thought I'd try anyway. That was before I knew and had already started. I had already planted them. So these are sweet potatoes, sweet potato vines more specifically. I think as we get closer to the November and the frost, I will pull them up, see if anything grows. Like right now, it's just like these vines and, but you're really supposed to grow sweet potatoes from sweet potato slips, which are like propagated plants from the sweet potato themselves. So anyway, I just like the way it looks anyway. It makes me think I have this lush garden. And if anything else, if it doesn't do anything else, it will add richness to the soil once these plants die, and it'll become like compost. So, and then I'll use it for something else next year. All right, so going back over here, I planted this kind of late in the season. In fact, unfortunately, the squirrels have gotten into these beds. This is my little herb trug. My basil, as you can see, is doing really good. In fact, it's trying to go to seed, so I'm going to have to harvest some of these just so it won't. The thyme back here is doing okay. As you can see, there's a hole where the squirrels dug, but they kind of are surviving. Compared to my rosemary, which was here, got dug up and now it's gone. So, and then my my green onions, these are the plants. They just keep getting dug up, and it's so frustrating with the squirrels just like to dig in these things. So, and this is mint. This is like a sweet mint. I have used this for, I don't know, I think this is a wheat. I've used this for teas and things like that. And then the parsley, of course. Parsley, it's doing so much better out here in this trug versus when it was in the house. You know, just when you're ready to cook, you just cut off some and use it for cooking. But I would say I planted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only 5 survived, 5.5, because like I said, the green onions are just being overrun by the squirrels. But at least I can use the basil for my tomato basil soup, and the parsley for other cooking, and the mint for my mint tea. Alright, let's go out to the other garden beds that I have here. So earlier on in the summer, late spring, you saw me, I planted jalapeno peppers, bell peppers, and eggplant in this bed. And I've already yielded so many jalapenos. You can see some growing here. And I've even left some on the plant so that they can get red. Here are my green peppers. They don't get super big, but you know, this is about as big as they get. And then I've left a few on to turn red. This is probably my most successful bed as far as all of the jalapenos that I've been able to grow. And then this is an eggplant right here. This is an eggplant here with this purple flower. There's one that's growing here that's forming. So hopefully I will have eggplant before the frost comes. These are eggplants. They get really large. So I think once the peppers start to die off and the plants for the peppers start to die off, then the eggplants will come in. And like I said, hopefully before the frost comes, I'll be able to harvest a few eggplants and use them. This is another bell pepper plant, as you can see. Probably should take that one. I should probably take the ones that are turning. Like that one looks really interesting. It's half red, half green. But yeah, the longer you leave them on, especially the peppers, they turn color. So they turn from a green to a red to a yellow. And in the case of the jalapenos, I don't know that they necessarily get more hot or, more spicy the longer that, when they turn colors. I'm not sure. I have to do some research on that. This bed was probably my least favorite bed. Now, my mustard greens, I didn't really harvest them the way I should have this summer. They're really supposed to be harvested in the fall. So I was trying to give them time to grow. Like this one is pretty healthy. Get this leaf out of here. This one's pretty healthy. This one gets eaten on by the pests in the yard all the time. This one, I think if I remove this middle one that gets eaten by the pests, then these other two will grow. There's another one here behind it. I just think, and this little one here, I think they just didn't have that much room to grow. So now I know not to plant them so close together. But I didn't have any other beds at the time and prepared. So this is what I got. So I probably will harvest these greens in the next week or two. Because like I said, at least this middle one I'll harvest because I can let the other two grow until the frost comes. Then there's the broccoli and cauliflower. So here is a broccoli plant here. As you can see, the head is growing. The broccoli is kind of taking over the bed. This is a cauliflower plant here. This one I'm touching, and this is the broccoli. So I feel like the broccoli is taking over and the cauliflower is getting, like this is broccoli, but this is cauliflower. So yeah, I need to thin out this bed for sure. Anyway, here's another broccoli, but I planted the broccoli on this side, and as you can see, they're like migrating over there and covering up the cauliflower, which I don't like that. So I'm gonna have to do something to get more sun to my cauliflower. But yeah, that broccoli head is coming in, so that's good. Hopefully it'll grow pretty big. I don't know, last year I planted broccoli in this bed and I think the broccoli was so stressed that it didn't really grow very well. So I don't know, this might be my last year growing broccoli, but yeah, that is the final bed of vegetables. Talk about flowers now. This is my lavender bush that I planted a couple years ago. There was another one right next to it, but it didn't survive. This one actually, I'm really surprised that it's still really surviving. But in this area, I plan to plant more lavender. In fact, if I can propagate some lavender, that'd be great. And then plant it in this weedy bed, because it seems to thrive over in this area, which is something that I was having difficulty with years before, where my lavender wasn't really surviving well. It smells so good in the spots that I would put it in the garden. So I didn't know where I should put it, but this is a good spot for it because, like I said, it is thriving, even though it looks pretty sparse. But it is what it is. I'll take it, and then I'll add some more eventually. I did have some hydrangeas that I planted. This is my hydrangea plant now. It didn't bloom. Well, it was on the verge of blooming, and then someone came to cut our grass and cut it, which is why I put this little fence around it, because he pretty much lopped off all the buds, which really made me angry. There are tulip buds in here, or tulip bulbs, and daffodil bulbs in this area. That's why it's kind of sparse right now because those have already come and gone long ago this early spring. And then what tends to happen is the weeds take over. I did weed this bed, but I usually plant zinnias in here last year I planted zinnias and they took off, and I didn't plant any this year. And so that's something I can probably plant while I'm waiting, for spring to come. At least I'll have some flowers over here, which will help with pollination and everything. This one here also is a hydrangea bush, which did give me a hydrangea flower head, a couple of them, but they have since dried out. I have some dried in the house in flower pots and, just as decoration. Let me go to the other garden flower beds. All right, this green chaotic bed is all of my peonies. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, peonies bloom in early spring. So what I have left here are just leaves, peony leaves. I didn't cut them back, which is something you're supposed to do after the blooms have gone, so that it helps with producing more blooms in the future. But I just liked having the greenery. I thought it brought, the garden to life, and I like seeing the pretty green leaves. So, hopefully I'll get some peony flowers next year, because, like I said, the plant is spending all of its energy making these leaves, and I probably should have cut them back, and I didn't. So that's okay. We'll get what we get. The fact that the peonies even bloomed this year, I was so happy because I had planted these peony tubers 4 years ago, and I hadn't gotten any blooms until this year. So when I saw them, I was just so excited. Besides a pink rose, peonies are my favorite flower. Anyway, on to the next. All right, this is my problem flower bed. It's full of weeds right now and grass that has grown up through the garden cloth that I put underneath. And I usually just clean this out every year. I haven't done anything with it since my hyacinths grew. I had grown some hyacinths and some daffodils in here. And but like I said before, those bloom early spring, and then there's nothing left for the rest of the spring, summer. And so then you just get weeds. So I have to do better about getting this bed more cultivated and produce more flowers. And I'm thinking maybe putting the dahlias in here, but the dahlias are very sensitive to the cold, and they don't survive the frost, and you have to pull the tubers up. And I do have them pulled in my house. They're stored in the house. But I didn't plant them this year. So maybe I don't know. I'll put something in there that will survive the frost and also be able to bloom in late spring and summer. So. And then finally, let's go over to my newest addition to the garden. These are my rose bushes, which look really sparse compared to what they looked when I first put them in here. But we had like a huge storm and lots of rain. So all the leaves that were brown broke off, and the branches that were weak broke off. But I don't know. I think that's okay. I am looking forward to these bushes growing beautiful pink and blush colored flowers and traveling up the trellis and creating a fragrant. They're very fragrant flowers. So I'm looking forward to the beautiful fragrance that I'm going to get from these roses. And today's harvest is mini cherry tomatoes, basil, peppers, jalapeno peppers, bell peppers, and mustard greens. Okay, you guys, that is it. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like gardening as much as I do, then please hit my thumbs up button and let me know that you like videos like this. And I would love to have you here for future videos. I have some really big, beautiful projects happening soon inside the house and inside the garage. So if you want to see what I get up to and all the interesting DIYs and makeovers that I'm going to be doing, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I upload my next video. I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are. And until I see you next time, take care.
Talk to me